Good news and bad news with today's episode. The good news is that I think I found the worst, most piece of shitty reality TV show that's ever been made. And I don't mean like it's just bad. I mean like it is ethically fucking repugnant. The bad news is that this ethically fucking repugnant TV show actually existed. I'm going to tell you all about it today. First of all, let's talk about the name. And some of you might have heard it. It was apparently quite a big deal back in the day. It's called The Swan. And the reference of the name The Swan refers to that children's book, The Ugly Duckling, which is basically, you all know the story of The Ugly Duckling. There are a bunch of... I'm just realizing I don't really know the story of The Ugly Duckling, but in my mind, there's a bunch of like duck babies, ducklings I think they're called, and then there is one swan baby, and the swan baby is really fucking ugly compared to the duck babies, and the duck babies grow up and they become ducks, and the swan baby, which is super ugly, grows up to be, you guessed it, a beautiful swan. So the concept of this TV show is basically they're going to do this story, except the ugly duckling is a woman who this show is basically calling ugly, and then she's going to grow up to be a beautiful swan. And by grow up, we mean go through several invasive plastic surgery procedures over 3 months and then compete with other women each week, and then eventually end up in a beauty pageant where they're judged entirely by their looks, except for an incredibly vapid Q&A session. That is the concept of The Swan. You could probably see why this show is a massive piece of shit. It originally came on the air back in 2014, beginning of, it feels like early days reality TV. Maybe people would realize that, just seeing how far we can push this. And they pushed it really fucking far right away. Some of this show actually got 2 seasons, which blows my mind. Then it got cancelled because people got a moral compass. No, I'm just joking. It was bad ratings. There's no moral compasses in reality TV, don't worry. All right, so let's get into a little more detail. This is basically an extreme makeover show. Like I say, they take people that the show call average, and I think the show is kind of implying that these women are like ugly, but they don't want to say it, and then they're going to make them beautiful. And I watched a few clips of this, and I'm like, these are not women who are like hideously unattractive Hunchback of Notre Dame, not to body shame that guy, but like they're not like that. They're all married, or like not all of them, but they've got husbands. They found partners. They're not like these horrible people that the show seems to be making them out to be. Anyway, this show has somehow convinced them that they're all ugly ducklings and that they need to go under, like, the show runs for 3 months. And during that time, they're going to give them surgery. They're going to put them on these insane diets. They're going to fix all their teeth. They've got a therapist. They've got a coach, all of this stuff. And it's basically, they're going to transform their lives over 3 months, because apparently 3 months is all it takes to completely transform your appearance and your life and all of your inner workings, etc. You could be fixed by the summer. I was kind of thinking the crew that they have supporting them is actually made up of a coach, a therapist, a trainer, 2 cosmetic surgeons, and a dentist. And I'm kind of like, if you've got like someone who is mentally healthy and balanced, maybe you don't need the cosmetic surgery, but all of these are like good things to have. But the problem is a lot of these women that they chose, they were just not ready for this. And they clearly had so many problems other than their just perceived beauty problems. And now, to be honest, I didn't watch enough of the show. I couldn't stand the idea of watching these interviews because honestly, I just feel like watching this show would make me lose IQ points that I just can't afford to lose. But I did pull some quotes from the interviews, which should just give you an idea of how the women feel about themselves going into this show and about how they feel about their self-image. And then they're going to go through this 3-month procedure to drastically change that, which is just, these people are not prepared for this. I feel completely disgusted with myself. I'd give anything to not want to be invisible. Sometimes you feel like, why do I bother? These are people who I feel, if you're a plastic surgeon and you're not a piece of shit and someone comes to you and, I don't know, you've got to have, surely there's some sort of survey you've got to fill out, or there's some sort of screening before you can go in and have major surgery like this. If someone is coming in and saying this, they need to, you need to make a referral to a therapist or a psychiatrist before you do some procedures on them, or you need to consult with a colleague to make sure it's okay. Because these people, they've got issues with self-image, and surgery is not going to be able to fix that issues in your brain, right? But apparently that doesn't matter because this is reality TV, and the most important thing is, can we get people to watch our toxic shit pile of a show? So let me just run you through a little bit of how it works in a little bit more detail. Every episode of the show, you'd have 1 versus 1. So it would follow the 3-month transformation of 2 women, and then at the end, one of them would be kicked off the show because she didn't get beautiful and balanced enough after the 3 months. And then after the show runs its course, there'd be the Swan pageant where the women compete against each other. And what were the categories? It was like lingerie, it was swimsuit, there was an evening gown, and then there was the Q&A. And basically based on that, it's like a beauty pageant, which, I mean, holy shit, beauty pageants are also super fucked up and a piece of shit anyway. And now we're talking about combining all of this toxic sludge pile of dirt into something that is also a piece of shit. And we're just mashing 2 pieces of shit together until we get a super piece of shit that is this show. Oh my God, I made a note here and I totally forgot to mention this. Get this. The PhD, the therapist on the show, according to Metro, not according to me, I didn't do any of the research, but Metro, which is like a British newspaper that you just find free on the London Underground, which is weird that it's called Metro. But they said that she, and I quote, critics of the show noted that Dr. Innes, as PhD in clinical psychology, came from an online accreditation program. Now, I don't know what that online accreditation program might mean. I mean, it could mean she bought her diploma off eBay. It could mean that. I'm not saying that. It could just be that. That's maybe what Metro is implying. But one thing is that it's not Harvard, is it? I don't think you can do an online clinical psychology PhD at Harvard. And this is a big show. And I get the feeling like, again, allegedly, in my opinion, that they probably couldn't find anyone. Like, my sister's got a PhD in psychology. And I think if someone offered her this show, she'd be like, are you fucking joking? Is this a joke? Are you smoking crack? So anyway, they're all competing with each other. And during the 1 versus 1, there's this panel of experts and the 2 surgeons are talking to each other about what they're going to do. And it just comes across like they're the biggest dicks. Like, this panel of experts, and they're like, the trainer's like, I'm going to have to put her on like a 1,200 calorie diet every day. She's going to have to do 2 sessions of cardio. She's going to be like calorie negative because, oh my God, have you seen her? Have you seen her, Peter? And then the surgeons are like, what are we going to do about that nose? Holy shit. Fucking bulbous much. Oh, I threw up when I first saw her nose mic. So the initial consult, here we go. Eye lift, nose job, lip enhancement, chin implant, brow lift, veneers. And I'm just like, oh my God. So you're going through all of this. This is the same woman who's got that 1,200 calorie a day diet. And I'm like, you've basically just had your entire insides and face jiggled around and shit put in there like chin implants? My dude. And then it's like, yeah, go for a fucking long ass run and don't eat anything. You're just going to be eating Jell-O from the hospital and running. I do want to help people survive this show. Oh, also, fun little plot twist. They're not allowed to look in a mirror. Which makes me wonder, about ethics and consent. Because if they're going through all of these procedures and it's going over 3 months, I mean, they're not going to go in for one mega operation and then it's all going to be done. There's going to be multiple operations with different doctors at different surgeries, right? Because you're going to need different doctors for different things, like lipo or whatever is going to be one dude. There's going to be the nose egg. Look, I don't know how it works. Most I know about plastic surgery is from Nip Tuck, that really weird TV show that started off quite normal and then became insane. But it's so if you've had one of these procedures and you can't look in a mirror, how can you consent to also all the other procedures? Can't I feel that this is medically, ethically, I feel that this is ethically fucking dubious as it is. But then as a doctor, aren't you supposed to be held to a higher ethical standard than a reality TV show producer or a reality TV show viewer? I mean, it's just not good, is it, guys? Allegedly. So that's kind of pretty much it with this show. They take a bunch of people who they call ugly, then they put them through completely unprepared 3 months of procedures, surgery, therapy by a person who got their degree online, and then they're like, hey, life is fixed, compete in the pageants, and tally-ho, off you go, well done, thanks for being here. And I was just like, this is fucked up. And now these people's lives, they're they're different forever. And don't get me wrong, some of them are like, yeah, I was ready for that. I'm pretty happy with this plastic surgery that I got. But also, I think the article that I read on Metro said most of them got divorced, which is pretty intense. And then also one of them put loads of weight on. And then also a lot of them are like, yeah, no, I still have problems because it turns out that just changing my image didn't change my insides. I know it's a cliche, but shit, it's a cliche for a reason, guys.